Hello and welcome to this session on the modern edge for county government. I'm Ben Caruso, practice leader for state and local government at Juniper. And joining me is Brian Welch, a senior network architect. Brian will provide a demonstration of Juniper AIOps in just a moment, and then we'll conclude with a brief Q&A. In my part of the session, I will answer these questions. What is Juniper AIOps? Why should you care? Why should Juniper AIOps be a top consideration for county governments? And how can Juniper AIOps enable the modern edge for county government? Network modernization is very important for the future success of governments, including counties. Counties help communities thrive. Counties maintain the country's infrastructure, provide resident health care, ensure public safety, and much more. Counties collaborate with federal, state, local, and tribal governments to deliver on-the-ground services and to meet the needs of their residents. These services depend on a network that can scale efficiently with growing counties, growing number of connected devices, and the growing number of services provided to residents in a modern government. A chart from Gartner that shows the top technology trends in government for 2023. These technology trends are driving transformation, insights, and modernization across governments. Juniper AIOps leverages a number of these technologies like AI for decision intelligence and hyper-automation to transform the user experience. And county IT decision makers with legacy networks should be asking, does our network leverage any of these top technologies today? How can these top technologies play an important role in my network into the future? How does Juniper AIOps enable these modernization outcomes? Improve experience for residents, staff, and network operators, automate processes, material government, and maximize financial benefit measured in time and effort saved. Driving these top technology trends are the top CIO priorities in government. You can see by the color-coded key, Juniper AIOps checks a lot of boxes, both directly and indirectly impacting governments. I'll cover a few examples. Better experience. Juniper AIOps has a direct impact. When county governments are able to metric the experience of every single user and connected device, this means data-driven proof points and insights on experience for every agency employee. Juniper AIOps is always on, 7x24x365. So if a county IT can rapidly identify and provide root cause analysis to remedy an issue before an agency employee opens a trouble ticket, is that a better experience for the agency employee? Of course it is. Behind the scenes, Juniper AIOps is leveraging hyper-automation and AI-driven insights. Agency trust. Juniper AIOps has an indirect impact. The better experience example I just used for the agency employee, from a fast remediation to an issue before they open a trouble ticket, do you think it indirectly improves the trust between the agency and the county IT department? Well, yes, you should. Now multiply that example by the number of agencies and county employees. You get my point. Centralized operations. Juniper AIOps leverages a centralized Mist AI dashboard, or a single pane of glass that spans Juniper wired and wireless networks, SD-WAN, location services, and network access assurance. Digital assistance. Juniper AIOps has the industry's first AI-driven virtual network assistant, Marvis. Juniper AIOps is more than just a network. It's the modern edge for government. Juniper AIOps is the industry-leading wired and wireless network as ranked by Gartner, combined with Juniper Mist AI. It's the only network architecture that's also ranked by Gartner as a leader in location services, which enables county IT to deliver advanced services to agencies. AI is now the buzz across all forms of governments, thanks in credit to services like ChatGPT. So what is Juniper Mist AI? Juniper Mist AI is engineered from the ground up for efficiency, scale, and operational simplicity using a modern microservices cloud architecture. This means seamless updates and new features without service interruptions to users. It scales and learns as the network changes and new services are added. Juniper Mist AI collects quality data, service levels on experience, from the access network to feed machine learning. That's more than 150 metadata points for every connected user, device, or asset that's collected and fed into machine learning. Juniper Mist AI has more than 5 years of shared experiences to deliver the highest efficacy to rapidly identify a network issue and isolate root cause. This includes issues like DNS issues, DHCP issues, performance issues, bad cables, and frankly, much more. Juniper Mist AI has a conversational interface named Marvis. This is the industry's first AI-driven virtual network assistant that responds to natural query language. In just a moment, Brian will take you through a live demonstration on Juniper AIOps, but I just wanted to provide an example of Juniper AIOps dashboard arranged by agency for day 2 operations or post-implementation. As you can see, it's easy to rapidly confirm which agencies are having a good experience, like planning and development. Likewise, you can also immediately see which agencies may be having a bad experience, like facilities management, showing 66% failed to connect. What are the next steps? Well, in a couple of mouse clicks, you can find which users or devices are impacted. In a couple more mouse clicks, you have the root cause of the failed to connect. Juniper AIOps is API driven, so it's very extensible for third-party applications. For example, you can seamlessly automate the ticketing process with ITSM, like ServiceNow, before the user opens a trouble ticket. This is the power of Juniper AIOps, one experience dashboard for Wi-Fi, network switching, SD-WAN, location services, and network access assurance. This slide represents a basic framework for Juniper AIOps. County governments of any size can modernize with this framework, which is Juniper wired and wireless networking, SD-WAN, location services, and network access assurance, all powered by Juniper Mist AI. County IT can modernize with Juniper AIOps at their own pace. For example, wireless is a great starting point with industry-leading wireless and the optional location services that employs a patented virtual BLE 16 antenna array, which is a technology that improves location accuracy down to 1 meter. And now county governments with a single architecture can seamlessly deliver advanced services by agency. As an example, location services coupled with a BLE-enabled badge reel can help protect lone workers under duress, which is a growing demand in rehabilitation, healthcare, and correctional agencies. Juniper AIOps addresses the business and technical challenges you see at the top of this slide, while also enabling the top CIO priorities I mentioned earlier. Modernization has 3 success pillars: provide a better experience for users and operators, automate manual processes that have a material impact on government, and lastly, delivers financial benefit measured in time and effort saved. Juniper AIOps has a proven track record on outcomes across these success pillars, and not just in state and local government, but also in higher education, K-12, healthcare, and the private sector, like many notable retailers who have moved to Juniper AIOps to deliver an omni shopping experience for consumers. I mention this because I see similarities that are very close to the omni government experience for residents that governments are undertaking. Anyway, here are a few state and local government examples of modernization. The state of Oklahoma turned to Juniper during the pandemic to improve the experience for 30,000 at-home state workers while maintaining government operations securely. The city of Philadelphia, the sixth largest city in the U.S., leverages Juniper AIOps to automate processes and simplify operations. That means 30,000 employees across all agencies are supported by 2 to 3 full-time equivalents in IT operations. A California state agency realized significant financial benefits from Juniper AIOps. 1 million saved is what they calculated. And the VA complex in Orlando, Florida, radically improved the experience for veterans. This is a phenomenal success story on how to leverage location services to improve the experience for staff and residents. And please know you can access the public success stories in full through the URLs provided on the slide. Here are some key elements behind Juniper AIOps that drive modernization outcomes. These may look like bold assertions, but they actually stem from customer feedback. Fastest to implement. Improves time to value by greater than 50%. This is driven by some really slick zero-touch provisioning with barcodes and Juniper Mist AI Cloud. Best mean time to resolution, or mean time to innocence if you're a network operator. We've all been there. All the telemetry resides in the cloud, no shifting between different tools or dashboards to do manual correlation. Juniper Mist AI does all the heavy lifting, as I mentioned earlier. But what I didn't mention is dynamic packet capture, which all but eliminates truck rolls. Fewest tickets. How close to zero can you drive the number of network-related trouble tickets? Some folks have gotten pretty close. Juniper Mist AI proactively identifies the issue and it helps you resolve the issue before a user opens a trouble ticket. Easiest to operate. No more bugging government staff to recreate issues or chasing ghosts. Smartest to innovate. Juniper AIOps is all about APIs. This means seamless third-party application integration into the future. Like worker duress application I mentioned earlier for lone workers. So if you have a legacy network refresh planned, consider these points. A legacy refresh is kind of commitment to the same manual processes and operational complexity of the last 5 years for another 5 years, or maybe even more. So to test drive Juniper AIOps is really a no-risk proposition. The Gartner Magic Quadrant ranks Juniper wired and wireless networking as the outright leader in vision and execution. And Juniper Mist AI uses modern cloud microservices architecture, leverages quality metadata to deliver actionable insights and experience metrics, and has years of shared experience for the highest efficacy, has the industry's first AI-driven virtual network assistant, Marvis, but most importantly, Juniper AIOps is driving modernization outcomes today. If nothing else, a test drive will help you establish an AIOps benchmark for your existing network. But barring that, what can you do to learn more? Well, my recommendation is do a proof of concept and conduct that POC at your most problematic site. Your Juniper account team or one of our many value-added resellers can help make this happen. And Juniper has plenty of training resources and demos available at juniper.net. And you can always contact me directly. Everyone attending this session, a big thank you. And I hope you found this part of the session informative. Now, please stay tuned for the live demo. Brian, please take it away.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you everyone for joining. I'm excited to show everyone today the real-world benefits of the Juniper Mist AI platform, which is the leading enterprise networking solution in the market today. If at any time you'd like to dive deeper into any of these talking points or any of the technologies, feel free to visit juniper.net. There are lots of free trainings and information available on our website. Before we get started with the demo, there's a few things that I'd like to highlight here today. So I'm not telling anybody anything new. that the network has become as ubiquitous as power or water for your business. So just because your application, your switches, your routers, your APs are up doesn't mean that they're good and they're providing a good user experience. So the Juniper Mist platform is giving you the ability to be able to peer deeper into those things because up is not good. There's also the problem of IT staffing shortages, or not just lack of staff, but lack of experienced staff. And Juniper's AI-driven network is up 24/7, 365 days a year, helping your staff get to what we call the mean time to innocence. So this means that there's faster mean time to resolution, faster to deploy equipment. It's faster to deploy entire sites and do it easily and seamlessly, all while delivering a better user experience, not just for your end user, but also for your IT staff. The Juniper Mist solution is built upon a modern microservices platform. So if you think of things in the market like Netflix or even ServiceNow or Amazon.com, they're all utilizing this microservices container-based solution that's scaling elastically based upon demand and has a huge level of redundancy built into it, utilizing things like availability zones, which we have throughout the United States or across the globe if we have multinational customers. Our platform gets updated every week. And let's say the first week of the month, we're going to roll out product enhancements or features. And you'd log in and you would get a pop-up. We're not seeing it here, but there would be a pop-up in the right corner that would highlight all of those different new knobs that you'd have to utilize to make your life easier or give you a better user experience. And then you would be able to click and receive additional data and information about each of those features. So for the other weeks, call them the odd weeks, we're doing housekeeping items. So things like making the cloud more stable, faster, providing better infrastructure for our platform. So you get these login banners every Thursday after there's been an update and feature enhancement. Thank you for being a Juniper Mist customer. You'll get all those knobs and features. So the heart of what we're doing and the platform is this AI and machine learning that we're collecting. So we have a rich data lake that we're gathering nearly 200 different points of data every minute from every user and every device. So we're able to give your staff an increased visibility and correlation as to what's going on real time, while making it much, much easier to troubleshoot and identify those root causes. Our customers get the benefit of having the equivalent of the most skilled networking expert watching and optimizing every device, and watching every client 24/7, 365 days a year. It's pretty groundbreaking stuff. So with that out of the way, we'll now get into the demo. And first and foremost, everything that I'm going to show you in the dashboard can be completed using our rich feature set of APIs, and even doing things like integrating the Juniper Mist platform into ServiceNow, who is also a Juniper customer. And we're able to give full visibility of network health, doing self-service IT for end users, doing automated service creation or problem resolution. In fact, ServiceNow themselves have reduced their network-related tickets by adopting the Mist platform by over 80% since switching to Juniper Mist. So all of this data we're collecting is kept in sort of a DVR on a rolling 7-day basis. And this allows you to simplify your operations for your wired, wireless, SD-WAN, NAC location services. All of this information is collected in there. And that's really important because we're not making you deploy another set of infrastructure to get all of this data. This is all implemented with all of the Juniper Mist gear that you're going to be deploying at your sites. So it's collecting this data, allowing you to go back and do problem analysis. So let's say your CIO on Friday at 3 has a Zoom call that's going poorly, but he gets fed up, doesn't open a ticket because it's Friday, he's going out of town, he switches to his phone, maybe that is operating better. And then he sees you on Monday in the hallway and he happens to pull you aside and tell you about his experience. Well, all of the things that I'm going to show you is going to allow you to go back in time and go look at his individual device or devices and view exactly what the problems were. And you see that by looking at our live demo, which is our site, and our service levels in the dashboard. So these are what we call this SLEs, or service level expectations. So we're expecting the network to meet a minimum set of requirements to deliver a good user experience. And it's highlighted by the green, or 89%, which is the time it takes for a user to connect. The successful connects is only 46%, so that's not a good experience. Same with coverage. It isn't terrible, but 79% isn't great. We're having a great success with roaming and throughput and capacity, all of which could be telling you you may have coverage holes, which we'll also detect and highlight for you. And also here at AP Health itself, showing 66%, mostly probably because we've deployed Wi-Fi 6E APs and not upgraded the PoE switches to account for the increased power demand. But we've also got APs that were disconnected and some Ethernet problems. But let's drill down into successful connects for a second. You can do so by clicking on any of these individual SLEs that we're gathering data on. You could even go in and you could adjust what your expectations are of your network. So if we click on successful connects, it'll show you all of these data points of association, authorization, DHCP, ARP, etc. And it'll show you all of the different attempts, the timeline of which it's been occurring, the distribution, which is where the problems have been seen. You can click on WLAN, device OS. You can sort on the overall impact and affected items. And to click back on distribution 1 second, there was a use case with one of our customers. They pushed out an invalid cert. And so all of their Windows laptops stopped being able to authenticate to the network. And so they were able to go in through our Mist dashboard and look at the distribution of these classifiers and see that in device OS, all of their Windows laptops were unable to connect to the network. And then they were able to correlate that with a maintenance window that happened that same night that pushed the certificate out that allowed them to roll back and to provide a new certificate to their users to get them back online. All of that took less than an hour. I think 30 minutes was the time frame that I had heard. But without something like this to show you these events, it would have taken you an extremely much longer amount of time in order to provide that information and to get to that root cause analysis. But if we look here into affected items with users, access points, and applications, if we want to drill down into each of these individual machines, you can see what their overall impact has been. So let's look at Hal here. Hal's not been having a good experience. And we'll look at the summary of Hal. So Hal's having a bad experience because of DHCP problems, and the problem's been widespread on this live demo site. And it's a problem connecting to the Mist IoT WLAN, specifically on 5 gigahertz, but it's probably happening on 2.5 as well. He's also been seeing limited RF capacity due to Wi-Fi interference. And then there's been some slow authorization from Radius servers. But so let's look a little bit more at Hal and how his experience is going. So let's click at View Insights up here. And we're going to look at Hal's experience through these insights over the past 7 days. So you can see that there's all of these client events that have been happening, and there's quite a few of them are bad. In fact, 99% roughly are going to be bad client events. And if you notice this little icon here, the paperclip, that's indicating that we've detected that this client is having such a bad experience that we've gone ahead and done a dynamic packet capture. And now we don't capture the entire payload of the packet, we're only capturing the headers, enough for us to be able to provide you, the engineer, information on what exactly this interaction was, and to be able to further look into those pieces. You can download this packet capture, you can load it into whatever packet analyzer you wish, CloudShark, Wireshark, there's lots of them out there. And so you'll be able to drill down and find literally the needle in the haystack to see why this client's been having a problem. You can also look down here and see through this integration that we have with Microsoft Teams and with Zoom, you can see what their experience has been like on these particular applications. So again, sure, if this was the CEO's laptop, we'd be able to see what his information of this Zoom session was. So the RSSI, whatever packet loss was happening, and whatever latency and jitter was going on. So this particular one looks like he's having a pretty good experience with Zoom if you were able to connect to the network, which you can't. So moving on down, you can look at this information for your wired network, so your switches, and this has to be a Juniper network switch. And you can look at SD-WAN devices here, and it's collecting all of that necessary data for us to be able to give you insight into how your network's performing. But there's a lot of differentiators here in just this simple data, such as the CPU or memory. So we're collecting the individual services that are making up this 82% CPU utilization, so that you're able to pinpoint exactly why you get events that may be spiking the CPU, so that you can further troubleshoot those. And you can look even into application health. So you can see that the latency, jitter, packet loss is happening over certain timelines. And you can see any system changes that may be correlated to this bad experience that has been happening at this particular time. Or even drill down into that particular moment in time. It gives you a bit more information of what was going on. So there was a change made that caused some bad activity on the network. So moving down into our little guy Marvis here, who's a cousin to Jarvis, we can look at these actions and we can see all of this data of what's going on your network organization-wide, and all of this data is showing you things like a bad cable is happening, it has been detected on port 1 on Corp C switch 1. There's connectivity issues like authentication, DHCP, those types of things. You can look at authentication and see what WLANs are affected. You can look at APs and see that they're offline. There's health techs that are failed, non-compliant configuration, or you have too many clients connected causing insufficient capacity. And all the way through into WAN edge, like bad uplink, VPN path down, or the overlay, if you will. But you're also able to utilize this little guy here in the corner, this is the Marvis natural language engine. So you can ask Marvis different questions. And if in the instance of the CIO having a bad experience, you could have your help desk person come over here and troubleshoot. Let's say this was his laptop name that got authenticated. So it's checking this client at the site live demo, and it's showing that it had an authorization error. So now we can click into this authorization error, and we can see the timeline of which it happened, the individual insights of that client, the scope of the impact, and what the recommendation is. So we could go back into client insights, or we could go right to recommendation. So there's something wrong with the password. It could be the Radius server was unreachable, or the update of the Wi-Fi password happened on the back end and he didn't get the updated password. I'd hope you'd be using Radius for this kind of thing, but there are cases where individual pre-shared keys are needed. But you're able to see here what the individual impact was and what the recommendation is for that individual. But you can also do things like troubleshoot application Teams. And here's the list of sites for Teams. So I'm based in Seattle, so let's just click on Seattle. And there's been this anonymous user here has been having a problem with Teams. In this team session for this device, it happened over this time period. And now we're troubleshooting this Microsoft Teams application simply by clicking on the time period. And then we see here that the client was fine. The WAN was having some issues because it was high network jitter. Now we're going to click on that device. Now we're going to see that we've got an interface that's been bouncing, which is not going to make anybody happy, especially if you're on a Zoom or a Teams call. But you can look down through here and you can see the different applications that we're detecting. These WAN edge charts with the different CPU, data plane, bits per second, memory, pretty standard stuff. But then in the applications, you're able to see these are the top applications being sent over that device. It's peer paths, or it's far end SD-WAN peers. And we're looking at just the basics of this device, which is MAC address, make, model, how long it's been up. And then going further down, we're looking at, we can see Wi-Fi clients. We're going to go back to our live demo site because there's a lot more clients here. And so currently, there are 11 clients connected to our network, 8 on 5 gig, 3 on 6 gig, 8 utilizing 802.11ac, 3 on 802.11ax. And so you're able to get information of, host name, device type, AP name, IP address, band, channel, and you can sort by any of these. Or you can also go in and filter. You can look for individual usernames. You could look up channel. Or our friend Hal, you can even look him up. You can see here he's a Raspberry Pi. It's on channel 36, got a pretty good signal, running 11 AC with a pre-shared key. So we'll keep going down the stack here and look at our access points. So we've got 16 access points, 11 clients, and then the different models of access point that we have here. AP45 being our Wi-Fi 6E AP. And you can see here we've got some that are disconnected. And how about this one with no IP address? So we're able to detect that this AP is on, it's up. It's not online because it doesn't have an IP address, but it has PoE power and is on. And because all of our radios, or sorry, all of our access points include BLE radios in them, we're also able to communicate to neighboring APs what the status is. And so this AP is beaconing out to its neighbor APs that says, I do not have a DHCP client address. So there's something either misconfigured, wrong VLAN on the port upstream, which could be the case because of our Marvis actions detected, that type of thing. And then if you click on this, it'll tell you the pattern. So on the physical AP itself, it's going to show you this blinking pattern and what the different reasons for it being offline are. And so in this particular case, you can see number 3 here is blinking 3 amber lights, and then that will mean that the AP has no IP address. So if you're standing under the AP, you'd be able to see it blinking those 3 lights. So going down to switches, so these are all the switches that this site has. And we'll look at this switch here. You can see the visual representation of all the switch ports, what its health is. And you see here, this is the configuration that's been assigned to this switch. Now, I'll get into in a few minutes of what a template is, but this configuration has been assigned to this switch based upon a template. So this template is given this configuration, and you can see that this is a missed AP, this is an IP camera, this is a trunked wired client, this is just a standard wired client. And then if you wanted additional insights, you could then click into that as well. And then getting into WAN edges, you can look here and see this is one of our SD-WAN devices, which we call WAN edge. And within this SSR, we can see very similar things, just like we saw with our switch. It's connected, it's doing DHCP, and it's showing it's how many leased IPs, what percentage have been leased and available, what its pool name, number of IPs, and total IPs left. And then you can look at the topology detail. So this one has a connection to this AWS hub. It's got this name, out-of-band DHCP, and then this is its singular WAN device or WAN interface. It's not going to be typical SD-WAN because you're going to need multiple, but for the purposes of the demo, it's showing the single interface. And this is its internal LAN interface. This is the traffic steering policies that we've configured. And then these are the applications that we're wanting to steer based upon different metrics. And then if we were doing BGP routing to our hubs, it would show up there as well. So moving down into location services. So location services is becoming more and more of a critical thing to have. So apologize, I need to get into live demo here. There we go. So like I said, they're becoming more and more critical things to have. So in the event of a natural or human disaster or big accident, whatever it may be, being able to have a mechanism to see your users, your employees, and to make sure that they're safe into maybe a mustering spot, or however you may want to take role of these individuals to make sure that they're safe. It could be a smart badge, it could be an app on their phone, any other things. So through both BLE and Wi-Fi, we're able to show you the users and assets that are connected and where they are in your network. So you can see here that we've got these individuals that are around our office at 6:04 p.m. They're putting in a little overtime, but not just doing mustering, but doing inventory of devices, or even contact tracing. That was a big thing a number of years ago. Hopefully we've all tried to forget about all that. But we're taking all of this data and we're providing this rich machine learning that's tuning all of these different radios to provide this service, so that you're not having to bring in a third-party overlay network just for BLE, which then has to be tuned individually. We're able to do this with our AI and machine learning natively on our platform. So then we're going to get a little bit into the overall configuration here. So you can see that there's wired, wireless, WAN, access, which is NAC, and then admin. So in our organization, you would go up and you'd set up sites. And then within those sites, you're going to have different pieces assigned. So you're probably going to have a switch, probably going to have a router, and you're probably going to have Wi-Fi access points. And so just drilling down a little bit into the WLAN template. So this template gets assigned to a site, and then the devices that are at that site that are WLAN APs are going to inherit that. So this is what allows us to do zero-touch provisioning. So, and to explain zero-touch provisioning the Juniper Mist way, so you can have equipment sent out to a site. There's such thing as a Mist installer app, and you can grant temporary access for the installer feature, which allows you to claim and place equipment at a site, but no configuration. So once that happens and those devices are brought online, they will automatically go reach out to the cloud and pull down whatever configuration that you've assigned. So if we're looking here, let's look at this WLAN template for live demo. So this template includes a network access policy for our NAC, and it's applying to our live demo site, and it's applying to all users except remote users, and it's limited to these APs in this group. And then within that, it's got these different WLANs. So that's my demo for today. I appreciate you guys joining, you guys and gals. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And Ben, turning it back over to you.
That was an outstanding demo. Can you talk about some of the ways county governments can learn more or experience Juniper Mist AI for themselves?
Yeah, Ben, we have several promos that we can offer to them to get started. We have a Wireless Wednesday where they can see a live demo of it by one of our Mist experts, and they can also receive an access point themselves to test in their home lab and get familiar with all the benefits of AI-driven networking. What are you seeing as the top networking challenges in government these days?
You know, Brian, that's a great question. There are quite a few I'll mention, outside of cybersecurity, which obviously is going to be an ongoing top priority and challenge for governments going forward. But outside of that, you think about IT staffing shortages is a huge challenge, and it's a systemic challenge across all forms of government, including counties. And it's compounding, right? And what I mean by that, it's having a negative impact on county governments being able to keep the networks up. There's a lot of firefighting going on, and with all that firefighting going on, it makes it extremely difficult for governments to implement their CIO priorities, like all the initiatives that they're trying to drive to deliver a better citizen experience. Another one is operational complexity. When I ask IT leaders to describe their processes to troubleshoot issues at the network edge, you'd be amazed that it involves many of the manual processes that have been used for the last 10 years. Users open a trouble ticket, central IT engages with the users at the agency that are impacted by the issue. They may even need to roll a truck to fix the issue. These issues could be a bad cable, DNS issue, DHCP issues, or even intermittent Wi-Fi, which is like chasing a ghost. The point is that these manual processes have a negative impact on the government productivity and continuity, which obviously can ultimately have an impact on the citizen experience. And Juniper Mist, as you showed in the demo, automates all these processes that help governments identify and remediate these issues very quickly before even a trouble ticket gets issued. And lastly is awareness. I find many county governments aren't even aware of industry-leading solutions that can automate many of these manual processes. Or if they are aware, they believe it's just too difficult to make the transition. I mean, really, it's a no-risk proposition to at least examine the industry leader in wired and wireless to understand why. Understand why Juniper's wired and wireless solution is ranked by Gartner as the leader in vision and execution for the last 2 years. Why is wired and wireless ranked in the highest in Gartner's peer reviews? So the real question is, why refresh when you can modernize? And Brian, you built your career architecting networks and troubleshooting challenges. Can you highlight some of the automation that kind of happens behind the scenes with Juniper's AI-driven architecture?
Sure, and I'll start with a small use case to give you some framework around that. So imagine your CIO comes to you on Monday and says at 3 p.m. I was having problems connecting to or being on the network. And with a traditional system, you would either have an additional infrastructure built to gain these insights. But with the Juniper Mist platform, it's collecting all of this data, nearly 200 points of data every minute for every user and every device in your network. And it's doing so on a rolling 7-day basis. And so think of it as a DVR for your TV. You're able to go back and you can use our natural language interface through our chatbot called Marvis, and you can do things like troubleshoot, insert name of CIO's laptop, troubleshoot his laptop, and it will show you all of the things right there that it has detected to be wrong with that device over the last 7 days, which then you can narrow down to his problem time. And it will give you all of the data, such as you mentioned earlier, his DHCP failed, his authentication failed, maybe the internet was having problems, or with our next gen SD-WAN solution, it'll tell you if you're having problems with Zoom or Teams. So all of these things are highlighted in all of this automation that we're doing on the back end to provide the user with, and in many use cases that we've published publicly, that they're getting 80-90% reduction in trouble tickets on their network because of all this information that we are gathering every minute of every client. And we've trained our language models and our AI to tune into these things for the last 7 or 8 years. So it's not just being an industry leader, but we've had such a head start in how we're doing this. And we've learned so much over the years of tuning and making it easier for everybody. We're able to give help desks additional visibility that previously would have to get tier 2 or tier 3 tickets. And then the help desk is able to do self-service on exactly pinpointing what's wrong in the network, full stack end to end.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I mean, it just sounds like, quality data driving automation that's going to drive actionable insights for governments. Thank you for that. When I talk to a lot of governments, government leaders, I ask them, what are they using for their IT service management tool? And many have or plan to implement ServiceNow. And as you know, ServiceNow and Juniper have a great partnership. And many things you just talked about just a while ago, ServiceNow has experienced by implementing, Juniper's AI-driven architecture. Do you have any additional insights you could share on those benefits or positive outcomes that ServiceNow has experienced?
Well, the first and foremost is the integration of the two platforms. So while utilizing their own APIs, they tie into the rich feature set of the Juniper Mist APIs, and they're able to do automated ticket creation, They can do site provisioning. They can do trouble ticket resolution. All of these things through utilizing their own interface, which then it benefits all of our customer base that's utilizing ServiceNow and Juniper Mist through a reference architecture and design to make those two things happen together. And one of our biggest use cases that we've published is their sheer reduction of tickets by upwards of 90%, and allowing their tier one people to do this higher level engineering type tasks without the necessary skill set of having CCIEs or CWNPs on staff to be able to look after these things, which are, as we know, hard to find and very expensive.
That's great context. And so essentially you're saying the automation they get with Juniper and the automation they get with ServiceNow get coupled together. That's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you everyone for joining this session today. To learn more about Juniper AI architecture, and I would encourage you to kind of take advantage of all the resources we provided throughout this session. We're here to help you modernize your networks as you move forward and help you solve your challenges, whether they're immediate or strategic. You can reach out to me personally by email, and I'll make sure that someone gets in touch with you, or just reach out to your Juniper account manager or your Juniper partner. Thank you.